Hello, everyone. My name is Laura Rezac, and I am the Associate Rector of St. Stephen's Episcopal Church in Charleston, South Carolina. And I'm here today on this Monday before Ash Wednesday, the Monday before Lent officially begins, to talk to you a little bit about what Lent is, what Ash Wednesday is, and why you might consider coming to one of the services that we have at church this Wednesday. So, the season of Lent. Our church year, we can think of like a wheel. And at any point during the year, we're in one particular season along that wheel. Right now, we're in the season of Epiphany. So this is the time between the end of the 12 days of Christmas. It always varies how long Epiphany is each year because the date of Easter changes each year. So it's the time between the end of the 12 days of Christmas and before the next season begins, the season of Lent. And Lent will run from Ash Wednesday all the way until Easter. So it's a season of the church year. The color for Lent is purple. That's why I'm starting Lent a little bit early with my colors. I got a purple shirt on here. And purple is a serious color. It was a color meant for kings back in the day. And really during the time of Lent, we have more of a serious attitude in the church, a little bit more of a reflective kind of attitude. It's a time where we are walking with Jesus on his journey to the cross. We're walking towards the crucifixion. And so during Lent, we have an awareness of our own mortality, the reality that someday all of us created beings will die. And also during Lent, we have maybe a special awareness of our need for penitence. That is the fact that we are human, that we make mistakes, that we are broken in all different ways. And that sometimes that brokenness means that we have to say we're sorry, either to God or to our neighbor or to ourselves or to all three, right? So it's a time to think about mortality and about penitence. But just because it's a serious time and a little more reflective time doesn't mean it can't also be, in its own way, a deeply joyful and meaningful time. Many Christians find this to be a really holy season because it calls us back to what's really important. It calls us to always remember that just as we're walking with Jesus, he's walking with us. It calls us to remember how important it is to say we're sorry when we do something wrong. It reminds us how important forgiveness is, the forgiveness that we extend to one another, the forgiveness that we receive from God when we do something that we know in our hearts is not really right. So Ash Wednesday is the beginning of that season. And we call it Ash Wednesday because it involves the imposition of ashes or the putting of ashes onto our foreheads. So here's some ashes that I have found in the sacristy. Now they're dry right now. When it comes to Ash Wednesday, we'll mix them with oil to make them a little bit sticky. Oftentimes, kids will wonder, if ashes are hot. Because, we've seen ashes of a fire or in a grill, right? And you can even show your kids if they're wondering, see, look, I can touch my finger to them. They're actually quite cool. So they won't hurt when they get put on. So on Ash Wednesday, we'll mix this with a little bit of oil to make it sticky. These are actually ashes from palm fronds from last Palm Sunday. So from when we were waving palms and we were very joyful to see Jesus, these are those same palms burned and saved for Ash Wednesday. So what the priest will do on Ash Wednesday, if you come to the service, and again, none must, all may, some should. Nobody's required to do this, but I invite you to consider it. What the priest will do is take some of these ashes mixed with the oil, kind of dip their thumb in it, and then we will make the sign of the cross on your forehead. Now, if you remember, when you were baptized, whether that was as a baby or a teenager or an adult, whatever age you were, when you were baptized, the priest also dipped his or her finger in holy oil and made a sign of the cross on your forehead. The sign that you are marked as Christ's own and that you belong to God forever. So on Ash Wednesday, we're also making a sign of the cross on our foreheads. And this one has ashes in it. Again, it's a reminder of that need to say, I'm sorry, that need for forgiveness, a reminder of our mortality, all of that. But just like at baptism, it's the sign of the cross on your forehead. A reminder that despite all of that need for forgiveness, all of the brokenness we have in this world, all of the pain, the violence, the sin, everything that we know is wrong with the world, everything we see around us that is not loving, the things that we participate in, right? The mistakes that we've made. Despite all that, despite the reality of death, we are Christ's own. We belong to God forever. So I invite you this Ash Wednesday to come to one of our worship services. We're having them at noon. That'll be a spoken service on Wednesday here in the church. We have one at 4:30. It's a shorter service. We still have some music, shorter service, really appropriate for children, that service. Also appropriate for adults who, don't want a really long service, but still really feel strongly that they want to come and receive ashes and be with our church family. So noon, 4:30, or 7 o'clock. And 7 o'clock is going to have the full choir. It'll be a wonderful time for us to gather. So I really encourage you to come to one of those three services. If you are so busy on Wednesday and you just can't make it, please do consider coming to the church between 5:30 and 6:30. We will have ashes to go right outside the church. So if you're in a rush, but you want to just take a moment to remember that despite the brokenness, you belong to Christ, please do come. And we will be happy to come right up to your car and give you ashes. Be well, friends. Stay safe, and I'll see you soon.